This is the Fujifilm 16mm f2.8 wide angle lens. We are reviewing it today on the X-T5. Let's take a look at it. Now, something to keep in mind today is that the price point for this lens is $399. This is an X-mount series lens. It's APS-C format only. It's not full frame, which means it's 16mm full frame, but on APS-C it's more going to be acting like a 24mm, taking into consideration the crop factor. All right, it has an aperture range of f2.8 to f22. It has a stepping autofocus motor, weather sealed construction, and a 9-bladed diaphragm. Now, as far as the aperture ring and the focus ring kind of go, it does have a clickable aperture ring with no hard stop in between the f22 click and the automatic click. There's no hard stop there. It just smoothly rolls over, or clickably rolls over into the auto mode. So if you're looking for a hard stop, you're not going to get it. And if you're looking for aperture racking, you're not really going to get it because it's clickable and you can see the stops happening. It is, though, consistent in the fact that there are 3 clicks in between each marked stop on the lens. Now, the focus ring on this lens is really quite slim because the profile of this lens, the length of the lens, is really short. This is a compact lens. So the focus ring is really quite slim. However, the pro about it is that it does have a good grip on the focus ring, and it not only has a good grip, but it has a nice and smooth rotation. Now, how does the autofocus perform? Overall, the autofocus was really quite reliable to get the focus on the subject. For quicker moving objects, though, you'll see the face track here. It's almost like the autofocus is half a second behind where I would want it to be for moving objects. Now, if we go in and live test and I move up here, right, hopefully I get the same result and I'm not lying, but it seemed a little bit slower than what you would want it to be. It was accurate when it came to, just stills, landscapes, like it didn't miss anything. But for moving subjects, it's a little bit more difficult. Focus pulling, it did have a good result, though, as you take a look at the focus pulls here. Now, focus breathing on this lens is really minimal. It's pretty much negligible. You're basically not going to notice it. In this same clip, go ahead and look at the chromatic aberrations in the top cutout of the window. Now, this window is completely blown out, right? The scene is blown out, and you still get, relatively minimal fringing. And then whenever we switch the shot in a more kind of realistic, not blown out setting, that it performs very nicely. It's going to get you a nice, clean image. Now, this is a relatively short review today because the lens doesn't have, an incredible amount of features. Overall, right, talking about my personal experience, I enjoyed using this 16mm f2.8 lens. It was great for landscapes to go out and it just, captures everything that you need. There was a beautiful sunset that was available to me. Thank goodness for the weather and the sunset that day that it happened, that it coordinated with my shooting schedule. But this overall, it's got minimal focus breathing. The chromatic aberrations are very controlled. The autofocus is reliable in, you're probably going to be using it for landscape photography, for wide angle stuff. The only problem that you're really gonna have to look out for with this lens is quick moving autofocus. The autofocus is accurate, but it's not necessarily fast. And again, this is just something maybe I harp on because I'm a Sony user. I'm not explicitly a Fujifilm user. I'm more so the majority of the time I'm using a Sony. The Sony autofocus is something that Fujifilm just can't really compete with. So maybe I'm disrespecting the 16mm Fuji 2.8 autofocus because I'm used to Sony, right? So take that also into consideration. Sony does have a superior autofocus system. You can't fight the results whenever you see them. So That's the lens here today. It captures colors wonderfully. It does not have excessive chromatic aberrations. It's not struggling with lens flares. The focus breathing is minimal. Just watch out for quick moving subjects. And that is all coming to you for a price point of $399. Now, if you would like to purchase this lens, and then the links can be found down below. The release of this video is at holiday season, so hopefully you get lucky and are able to get some discounts on this lens if you are interested in purchasing it. I'll check if Dustin has a review. If he does have a review, then it will be linked right here. Other than that, I hope you take care, have a wonderful day, and remember to let the light in.